At 69, Howard Finkel dies the most tragic death. And they lied about this. The voice that introduced generations to wrestling greatness was silenced in ways WWE never wanted you to know. Behind the booming announcements and legendary catchphrases lies a story of hidden struggles, corporate secrets, and a final chapter that WWE tried to keep quiet. Howard Finkel was more than just a ring announcer. He was the heartbeat of professional wrestling. His voice gave weight to every championship victory. His famous cry of a "New World Champion" became the sound of wrestling history itself. But the man behind that voice faced battles that WWE chose to hide from the world. Born on June 7, 1950 in Newark, New Jersey, Howard Finkel grew up loving professional wrestling. His path to greatness started in the most unlikely place. He worked as an usher at the New Haven Coliseum. It was there that fate stepped in. A chance meeting with a young Vince McMahon Jr. changed everything. Finkel impressed McMahon with his background. He had experience in public announcing from high school. He had trained at broadcasting school. This combination of skill and determination opened the door to his future. On January 17, 1977, Finkel made his ring announcing debut at Madison Square Garden. Within 2 years, he became the lead announcer for the biggest wrestling events. But here's what made Finkel truly special. On April 1, 1980, he became the first official employee of what was then the World Wrestling Federation. Employee number 1. This wasn't just a job title. It was a symbol of his unbreakable loyalty to the company. For over 4 decades, Finkel remained devoted to WWE. No one else could claim that level of dedication. His voice became legendary. Every wrestler's name sounded more important when Finkel announced it. His careful pronunciation gave each introduction weight and prestige. The "Aneniu" catchphrase became part of wrestling culture itself. Fans around the world knew that sound meant history was being made. Finkel wasn't just an announcer. He participated in storylines too. His most memorable feud was with manager Harvey Whippleman. This led to a tuxedo match in 1995. Finkel always said yes when WWE needed him. He was the ultimate company man, ready to do whatever the business required. But Howard Finkel's real impact happened behind the scenes. This is where WWE's story gets interesting, and where they started hiding the truth from fans. Finkel was much more than his public role suggested. He was the company's unofficial historian. His memory for wrestling facts was encyclopedic. Vince McMahon could call on him for any piece of wrestling history. Finkel created something called the Finkel Report. This was an internal memo that WWE has never talked about publicly. Finkel would read independent wrestling newsletters like the Wrestling Observer and Pro Wrestling Torch. These publications were called dirt sheets. WWE publicly claimed to hate these publications. McMahon often said they were irrelevant to the business. But here's the lie. Behind closed doors, WWE relied on these sources. Finkel would compile news, rumors, and fan reactions from these newsletters. He turned them into reports for WWE office staff. This shows WWE was secretly monitoring what fans and critics were saying. They pretended to ignore the wrestling press while actually depending on it for information. Finkel's creative contributions were massive but hidden. He coined the name WrestleMania for WWE's biggest event. This name is now worth millions as part of WWE's brand. He also created Ricky Steamboat's Dragon nickname. These weren't small contributions. They were foundational elements of WWE's success. Yet Finkel never sought credit for these ideas. He remained loyal and quiet about his creative input. Unlike others in wrestling who fought for recognition, Finkel stayed in the background. He valued WWE's success over personal fame. This loyalty would later work against him when he needed support most. By the early 2000s, things started changing for Finkel. WWE was growing rapidly. The brand extension meant separate shows needed separate announcers. Lillian Garcia and Tony Chamel were brought in as full-time voices. Finkel's schedule became lighter. This seemed like a natural business decision at first. By 2006, Finkel rarely appeared on pay-per-view events. He still announced at house shows, but his main stage presence was fading. WWE positioned this as a graceful transition. They said he was moving into a special role for important occasions. He continued announcing at WWE Hall of Fame ceremonies every WrestleMania until 2016. But fans started asking questions. Where was the Fink? Why was wrestling's greatest voice being pushed aside? WWE gave vague answers about new directions and fresh voices. They never revealed the full truth about what was happening to their first employee. Finkel made sporadic appearances on WWE programming. He appeared on the reality show Legends House. He was featured on the JBL and Cole Show web series. His voice was still used for special video packages. These appearances suggested everything was normal. WWE wanted fans to believe Finkel was simply enjoying a reduced schedule. His final official work came on January 22, 2018. A recording of his voice introduced The Undertaker for Monday Night Raw's 25th anniversary show. Finkel couldn't attend in person. WWE didn't explain why. They let fans assume it was a scheduling conflict. This was the beginning of their cover-up. The truth about Howard Finkel's final years is heartbreaking, and WWE worked hard to keep it hidden from the public. In February 2019, Finkel suffered a stroke. This wasn't a minor health scare. The stroke was severe and life-changing. It left him bound to a wheelchair. His mobility was gone. His independence was lost. After the stroke, Finkel's condition continued declining. He developed what was described as a rare form of brain disease. His physical and mental health deteriorated rapidly. The man whose voice once filled arenas could barely speak. The announcer who stood tall at ringside was confined to a wheelchair. WWE made a decision during this time. They chose silence over honesty. Finkel was moved to an assisted living facility. He needed full-time care. His condition was serious and getting worse. But WWE never told fans about his struggles. They acted like everything was fine. When Finkel passed away on April 16, 2020, at age 69, WWE's announcement was carefully worded. They celebrated his legacy and contributions. They called him a beloved member of the WWE family. But they revealed nothing about his cause of death. No details about his health struggles, no acknowledgement of his suffering. Other news reports mentioned the stroke and brain disease, but WWE's official statement stayed silent. This wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate choice to hide the tragic reality of Finkel's final years. They wanted to protect their image more than honor their first employee's full story. The wrestling world responded with an outpouring of love after his death. Stephanie McMahon acknowledged losing their first ever employee. Hulk Hogan shared stories of Finkel calling during tough times to offer encouragement. Kevin Owens described him as the best and praised his genuine concern for others despite his own declining health. These tributes revealed the real Howard Finkel. He wasn't just a voice or an employee. He was a caring person who looked out for others even when he was suffering. Owens' comment about Finkel showing concern despite his own health problems was particularly telling. It showed that Finkel's colleagues knew about his struggles, but the company kept fans in the dark. The tragedy isn't just that Howard Finkel died. It's that WWE allowed their most loyal employee to fade away in silence. The man who gave everything to build their company was hidden away when he needed support most. His final years were marked by isolation and decline that fans never knew about. WWE's silence robbed fans of the chance to show Finkel love during his darkest hours. If fans had known about his stroke and deteriorating condition, they would have rallied around him. Wrestling fans are passionate and caring. They would have sent messages, created tributes, and shown support. Instead, WWE's secrecy left Finkel alone with his struggles. This reveals something troubling about WWE's corporate culture. When it suited them, Finkel was employee number one, the loyal company man, the voice of their success. But when he became vulnerable and needed care, they chose corporate image over human compassion. They treated his suffering as a business problem to manage rather than a person to support. Howard Finkel's legacy is complex. His voice will echo through wrestling history forever. His contributions built the foundation of WWE's success. He was the heartbeat of an industry that gave millions of fans joy and excitement. His dedication and talent created moments that fans will never forget. But his story also reveals the cost of loyalty in corporate America. Finkel gave WWE everything. He worked for decades at reduced visibility. He accepted changing roles without complaint. He supported the company through every transition and challenge. In return, when he faced his greatest challenge, WWE chose silence. The real Howard Finkel was a man of incredible kindness and genuine care for others. Even while dealing with serious health problems, he worried about his colleagues' families. He called friends during their difficult times to offer support. He embodied the best qualities of humanity while working in an industry often criticized for lacking compassion. His death marked the end of an era in professional wrestling. No one could replace his voice or his institutional knowledge. WWE lost their connection to their own history. Wrestling lost its most recognizable sound. Fans lost a piece of their childhood every time they realized they'd never hear an Niniyu announced the same way again. Today, when WWE celebrates Howard Finkel, they focus on his achievements and positive moments. They avoid discussing his final struggles. They present a sanitized version of his story that protects their corporate reputation. This approach honors his professional legacy while dishonoring his human experience. The truth about Howard Finkel's death isn't just tragic because he died. It's tragic because WWE chose corporate interests over human dignity. They allowed their most loyal employee to suffer in silence rather than risk uncomfortable questions about their care for aging performers. Howard Finkel deserved better. He deserved transparency about his condition. He deserved public support during his health struggles. He deserved recognition for his full story, including his brave battle with serious illness. Instead, WWE gave him silence and secrecy. Wrestling fans deserve to know the complete truth about their heroes. Howard Finkel's story shows how corporate wrestling sometimes fails the people who built it. His voice may be eternal, but his final chapter was written in shadows that WWE never wanted illuminated. If you remember Howard Finkel's voice echoing through arenas, let us know your favorite memory of the Fink in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories beyond the spotlight.